What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Guliato Bango Boyle. You're now tuned with Edition Podcast, and like they always say, like and subscribe so I look cool. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Guliato Bango Boyle. You're now tuned into Edition Podcast. It's episode number 5. I know it's been a while since I came up with an episode. I've been trying to revamp things and, schedule people to be on and things like that. And today, I have a special guest here with me. I got my homegirl, Jameelah, in the building.
Hi guys.
Yep. So today's topic is going to be very important, something that we really actually like, very important to both of us. It's going to be on health and wellness, nutrition, and then also we're going to go a little bit on an entrepreneur side because, she is a little chef on the side.
Yes,
so we're going to cover a bunch of things. But for the people who do not know who you are, well, first of all, shout out to Jamie because she's the one who introduced us,
yes,
so that's awesome.
My girl Jamie. Shout out to you. Love you, boo-boo.
Yeah. So for the people who do not know who you are, for example, can you give us a little background, where you're from, who you are, so they get acquainted with you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Jameelah Nance. I am originally from North Chicago. I was born in a city called Evanston, which is North Chicago. And I moved here when I was I was in kindergarten. I was young. And I was kind of back and forth between my mother and my father. And so I grew up in the suburbs, Coon Rapids to be exact, and as I got older, I began to venture to the city. I grew in love with Minneapolis because it kind of reminded me a little bit of my hometown of Chicago. So, yeah.
What reminds you of it?
The city is loud a little bit, hustle and bustle,
Okay.
Just the diversity of it, because in the suburbs, it's not as diverse. So
yeah,
I really
I'm out here in the
city.
suburbs right now.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So there's one quote that you actually stated that that was exciting, because you were like, maybe this should be the title, right? That's what we're going to name the title of this video. So it's let thy food be thy medicine, and then if you want to finish it, then thy medicine, thy food,
Yes.
Where'd you find that? What attracted you to it? And can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Hippocrates, that quote is by him, and he was really big on health and wellness, but this was way back in the day. So that is how he's actually one of the people who sparked my interest in this. And, back then, health and wellness was not a huge topic, but he was like a philosopher, and I was always really into philosophy. And so when I heard that, because I also like writing and it's super poetic, it just stuck to me. So I always remembered, let thy food be thy medicine, because if you know anything about food and the science behind it, you'll know that medicine is literally in the food.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you have to become a doctor, you have to take the oath or whatever, Hippocratic oath. But little fun fact, there's a guy that predates this guy here. What's his name? Hippocrates. His name is Imhotep. He's an Egyptian that whatever this guy's name is, again, I keep messing it up, that he even quoted on one of his things when he was dying. I learned a lot of things from this dude here, which is was a couple of years prior to him. But so that's a little fun fact. But now, if this is one of your some guy that inspired you to join this field, give us a little bit of your journey and how you even got to this.
My journey, okay. So, this goes back since childhood. My mother, she was always into the medical field. She was a single mom, and she was in school, advancing first. She was phlebotomist, and then when we were back in Chicago, and then she was home health aide, PCA, CNA, LPN, RN. Then she went on to be a charge nurse, and then she eventually opened up her own PCA agency, and now she owns group homes, and now she's advancing into assisted living. So we're talking about a little girl from the south side of Chicago doing that, and I was so inspired by her. And growing up, she would tell us all about health. And so she was really big on us, drinking water, eating vegetables and stuff. Sometimes when we would come home from school, we would have vegetables and things, because she'd be like, y'all been eating too much junk, because she used to work a lot, and she'll give us money to go to the little corner store and stuff. Growing up, back even when we were in Chicago, we would be there. She would watch us out the window down the street. I'll bring back, candy, chips, juice, all that pop and stuff. Yeah. And so she would teach us so much about the patients that she would deal with and their health problems, and where it stemmed from and everything, and the importance on what you put in your body. Yeah. And so I really admired her growing up with that. I can't say I was like in love with the nursing field, whatever. That's what she wanted me to pursue.
Yeah.
And I tried it or whatever. I still do some healthcare stuff. But really, I was just into the science of food. And when I began to study that, that's when I also was appreciative of the nursing aspect because like I said, I started working with her in that area, and I did PCA, I did home health care and stuff. Now I'm doing some administration as well, and I still work with her on those things in her company. But yeah, so my mom, she got into telling us about like our families and okay, they deal with hypertension on this side, diabetes on this side, and even a few relatives who passed away from cancer and just didn't have the best health conditions or having to be on dialysis and things like that. Even teaching us, that began to teach us like, oh, well, what do you put in your body to prevent these things or even things to help heal those things? And, I really loved that. She even showed us, like for example, with cabbage, she was like, this is really good for cancer, this and that. So I began to research, okay, well, why is this good for cancer? And, as Black folk, we always got a pot of greens and on there on a stove. And pretty much any day of the week, you could find a pot of greens in any Black home. But what does it have in it? Ham hocks, meats and all sorts of salts and things like that. So she would teach us better ways of cooking. And I think like she was really the only one in her family who pursued a career in health. And so I just had an advantage having her as a mother for sure.
Man, that's awesome. Shout out to your mom, though. She's got so much letters in front of her name, behind her name, all that. So shout out to your mom. What's your mom's name?
Tiffany.
Shout out to Tiffany
Johnson. Hey, Mom.
Hey, what's up? Okay. Now, there's one, you touched a little bit on it, like us in the Black home, you have like greens on your table somewhere, right? I want to touch a little bit. I know you probably know more about it than me. Touch on a little bit of the history of Black food.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? What we were consuming and things like that. Can you touch on that for me?
Let's talk about that slave food. So many of you may have heard the term slave food. We were given like the worst parts of the animals, so that's why you have the intestines and things like that. Like you hear Black people eating chitlins and things like that because those were the parts we were left with, and we were forced to learn how to clean those things and season them to make them taste good. And I honestly think that given just getting beans, rice, this and that, you're just getting the worst of the worst. Honestly, the scraps that the animals would eat. Sometimes the owners wouldn't even the slave masters wouldn't even feed their dogs that food that the slaves were fed. But they had to eat something to have their bodies sustained for all the work and labor they did. So you really can't blame them. But even after, we were set free, those habits still carried on. And so that's why hypertension and that is like the number one, like heart disease, like the number one killer for Black women. Those traditions haven't left because, we use a ton of seasoning and table salts and things, just overly seasoned, plus the meat is already seasoned. You get some smoked ham hocks or some smoked turkey that's filled with a ton of salts and things. And so one of the things that I like to teach people is to how do we have those foods that we are so used to but eat them in a way that's more good for your health. And so it's all about preparing them in a way where it tastes good but it's also good for you, right? And so salt, we like our stuff seasoned. Okay?
I need it
Let's
seasoned.
Let's talk about salt. The best salts to use, not table salts and stuff that you can find at any restaurant you go to or any household you're in. Sea salt and like pink Himalayan salt, black salt, those salts are very good to use. You do need salt and you do need iodine. That's in, you want it in your salt, and that's usually found in salt. And so it's not that you should cut salt out, but it's the right type of salt. It's the right type
of salt. Okay, that's crazy.
Okay. And so that's all I cook with now is like sea salt, pink Himalayan. I'll use black salt and things like that. even on down to oils, what type of oils you cook with.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like canola oil, and we grew up using
Canola
oil, galore vegetable oil, which is crazy. It's vegetable oil, but it's actually not good for you. Go look it up. The best oil to cook with is actually, I would say, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, anything like that. Dr. Xavier approved. Like the science behind it is real.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that olive oil or coconut oil are healthy to cook with. They should be eaten raw.
Yeah.
The reason is that it changes the compounds of it. It becomes fatty,
Yeah.
and it's no good when you cook with it. It's not a high heat oil, whereas like grapeseed oil is.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Canola oil, vegetable oil, trash.
Trash
Okay,
that
now
way.
if you still cook with those, hey, whatever. Look, even myself, I'm not perfect. If that's what's on hand, I'm somewhere and that's what's on, I will use it. I gotta eat, okay?
Yeah.
But the goal here is just balance. It's not like I'm like expecting people to have perfect health, but I just want to encourage them to make better choices because when you make better choices, honestly, you just become better in so many ways. And I think a lot of even mental health, it starts in the gut. Because if your gut is messed up, your mind is going to be messed up.
Yeah.
Because it's connected to the brain. People don't realize that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't recognize
Yeah.
that. So that's I'm glad you said it because I cook nowadays. Like you said, Dr. Savy said, I cook with a lot of like the avocado oil and grapeseed oil. You know, like
Oh,
you're saying,
good.
is
Look
because
at
they have
you.
high like temperature, like they
Yeah.
burn at, and like you're saying, that, like coconut. Is it? Yeah, coconut oil
Yeah.
is not good because it's usually like I have coconut over there and it's like hard at first, and when you heat it, it turns into oil. So like, what about when you eat it and it cools down later on in your body? What is it doing?
Exactly.
To you? So okay, that's crazy. So now this, I guess we should just go right on to Dr. Savy. Okay, how'd you find out about Dr. Savy? I like that.
Dr.
That's my
Savy.
dog.
Whew, I was about, I think I was 9 years old when I first heard about him. I was watching like something with Lisa Left Eye Lopez, whatever, from TLC.
Yep.
And I remember her going to the Honduras, and she was on like one of his retreats there, and she was talking about him. And so I got interested, and I started researching this guy. I was kind of a weird kid. Like I was researching like health stuff from a young age.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with like what he knew. I was like, oh my gosh, this man is like genius. And then I heard about like, I'll get into it, but like a lot of his accomplishments in his career. He'd never been to school for it or anything.
Yeah.
Self-taught, self-scientist. I love that. And so I remember one of the first things that I learned from him was Irish sea moss. And that has 92 of the 102 minerals that the body needs. And so now, if you guys have heard of Tabitha Brown, in her videos, she'll do like sea moss smoothie. And I am loving that. It's becoming more mainstream now. And I think that just even well-known people endorsing such thing and bringing his name out is just getting more people to research him.
Yep.
And so one of the things that interested me about him was his court cases. He went to court. He was locked up for claiming to heal people from AIDS, blindness, cancer. They asked for about, I believe it was 9 of his clients to come in and prove that they had been healed in order for him to not go to jail. He brought in way more. I think it was like 90 or something. Way more.
Yeah.
And everybody was healed. Brought in their paperwork and everything, their before and afters of before his treatment and what the doctor had diagnosed him with, and then after. And I was blown away. I'm like, why do more people not know about this?
Yeah.
And then I realized it's about big pharma. We live in like a society where they want to have more profits than people having good health. And so it's a lot of money in that business. And so when you get alternatives, that's taking away money from them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the doctor gets more money by prescribing you medication. These medications, they have a lot of complications with them. So you got to take one thing for that. You got to take that
And
medication for
your
one
hand
thing.
starts shaking over here, and then you got to take another one. Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, I love helping people. And I think that's what made me so passionate about this and him. And I it's crazy. I call Dr. Savy my grandfather because I've watched so many of his videos, his teachings and everything, researched his facilities. And I love that he was not about the money. Even though he made money from there. Yeah. And even on the time of his death, he had a large amount of cash on him. But so it was still money in it, but that wasn't where like his heart was postured. Like it was more just to help the people, to heal the people. And that's something that I've always been big on. Like I've always had this thing of hospitality. Like as a kid, always wanted people to be better and improving them, because I saw even like what my family went through with, you know, sickness and disease and like just health issues. And I was like, okay, I don't want this for myself. I don't want this for my children. And so I just decided, instead of just going with mainstream things and mainstream medicine, to take the more holistic route, because I saw that, hey, let me tell you something, what I believe, because I'm really faith-based. And I'm like, okay, these natural things were created by the creator. You know, he knew what he was doing when he made those things, you know? And so that is why I also chose the more natural, holistic route. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because, you know, when you go back to him, I asked my dad when I got home, because I fell in the rabbit hole too of just like watching Dr. Xavier videos. I couldn't even tell you how I got. I think when I came to America, I was supposed to be a doctor. First of all, let's just get that straight. You know, all the Africans, y'all know what y'all supposed to be: doctor, lawyer, engineer, or something of that nature, right? Which I understand,
money,
you know,
okay, the money.
It's money, but it's also those type of skills are needed in a society, right? I mean, if we were all basketball players, you're like, okay, where are we gonna go to this? So I always ask my dad, I was like, yo, when y'all were at home, you know, how often did y'all eat, right? And he was like, oh, probably like twice a day max, and we don't eat like super early in the morning. I was like, okay, interesting. I was like, okay, when you guys got sick, what y'all do? And he's like, yo, grandpa used to go to like this tree or something, grab the root from this tree, grind it up, boil it, and then like you drink it, and it like makes you puke or something like that, or just makes you like throw up whatever you got in you, and then it just, whatever you have, you know, will be gone in a couple of days. And the interesting fact, you know, where we're from, my dad, during his time, he said when 3 people would die in a year, they would stop everything and try to figure out like what's going on. That's way too many deaths, right? And they'll shut down everything. No sports, no nothing. Nothing is being done until they figure out this, like, what's happening. And after, I think it was, they started like putting 2 and 2 together. It's like after we were introduced to different types of food that we weren't used to consuming, right? That's when a lot of things are going on now, you know. And then I was like, okay, that's interesting, because I put 2 and 2 together. He didn't know I was looking up Dr. Xavier and stuff. I was just trying to put 2 and 2 together. So that's very that's interesting. And then you touched on holistic versus pharmaceutical. Can you help us like learn the difference between them both real quick? You know.
Okay, so with holistic health, it's just like natural, whole foods, herbs, anything from the earth. Now, in holistic health, now there's a debate too, because you have alkaline versus like vegans versus like non-alkaline, and the difference is like hybrids. Okay, and so with alkaline, it's like everything that is like 100%. It's no mixture. Like for example, a shallot and an onion, or that's different from like garlic or a beet, which beet was made in the laboratory. But you know, it's still a benefit. But then you have the alkaline people who argue it because they're like, well, this is not pure, you know. But there are benefits to hybrids as well. I still consider it whole food, but with so some people might not consider that natural, but it grows. Then on the pharmaceutical side, so we're talking about like basically like pills and things like that, that type of medicine. That is more like just super man-made. And just definitely like fully created in a laboratory. And those things sometimes can even make you much worse. And I decided like, and it's so much money in it too. And it doesn't, I noticed that it was really just masking the symptoms. There's no healing.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody like Dr. Xavier who proved that they healed people with blindness, AIDS, cancer, these things, you know, and I want you guys to all research, do some homework and research what I'm talking about, because it's real. And this is not going to be on any like news outlet that you see. So that's what attracted me to that side, because this side is not curing. At all.
There was there's something that I watched. I think is this doctor that said, out of all the pills that's ever created, there's none of them that cure you. Maybe like I think like penicillin. Like what are those? What's the category of those? What's it called? Penicillin and anti. What is it? antibodies or something like that.
Antibodies?
Nah, I forgot what it's called. Out of my head right now. But like penicillin and that type of group, they don't cure you. But those might help you better than some of the other pills that have like crazy, side effects. But also for people who do not know, alkaline and acid is basically, if we go back to science class, right? You guys remember, it didn't make sense back in the day.
Balance.
The pH balance, 7 and above over there is alkaline, and then 6.9 and below is acid, right? pH just stands for potential hydrogen, like how much basically hydrogen is in there. Basically, some foods that you should consume mainly should be on this side, like you were saying earlier. But there's a bunch of foods that we eat that are not natural, So
exactly.
I guess, I don't know. You said there's a difference between, there's arguments between alkaline and, vegan and things like that, and people that just eat, McDonald's and things of that nature. When you make the shift, right? I guess like if you're a person in transition, right? It could be hard, right?
Oh, very.
So when you make this shift, what kind of mindset should one have, and how does one go about that? Because it's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So I was like vegan 2 years. I switched to alkaline for like a year and a half. Then I had the SDA, Standard American Diet. Then I have now a balance. So I'll switch. I might eat a vegan meal here. I might decide to eat alkaline this day. I might, whatever. Because, hey, look, I don't know. I'm just all about balance these days. It's too much,
Yeah.
But what I did, what my transition was, I decided to fast a lot. It's great I fast for spiritual reasons as well, but for my relationship with God. But I also fasted for natural purposes, and that was to help detox my body. Because the longer you fast, when you taste those things, they don't taste the same. You actually don't want them.
Yeah.
And fasting is good for healing as well.
Yep.
So not only are you detoxing your body, you're also you're healing it.
Yeah.
When you fast. So just learning to go without food. Just start with like a couple of hours, or skip breakfast, drink water in between those times, or even fresh whole juice, or just herbal teas. And fasting is honestly, that was because when I tried to go like cold turkey, or I planned to just, I'm gonna just eat a vegan meal here, and it was harder.
Yeah.
But when I started to detox my body and get that out of my taste buds, that's when I was able to go longer. And then the next thing I know, I'm doing it for a couple years at a time because I fasted. So living a fasted life, no matter what your diet is, that's going to help you transition better. Yeah. And that's the number one thing I'll stick to on that.
Okay. Right now, I'm actually going through a fast, which is actually funny. So I got this on the table. Started Monday, I was like, I'm just going to drink juice. I'll eat some fruits here, but mainly it's going to be drinking juice, water, and, I'll make a smoothie. So, and then if it gets too bad, I'll eat like a fruit, like a whole fruit, right? So I've been doing that. This is day 3 so far. Yesterday was super tough. I was hungry, yo. I'm like, I'm about to break this. I need pizza. Oh my God. But I ended up, I waited. Then I woke up this morning with so much energy. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, this should not even be possible. And this is a thing that has come from like Dr. Xavier's site too. Not from his site, but like his train of thought and his herbs that he uses. It's called chelation, which is a detox thing that you take 3 pills at night, but it's basically, it's herbs in there, right? So you take them at night before you go to sleep. Make sure you drink a gallon of water if you're ever going to use this, because it helps you flush whatever you ate and whatever's inside your body. Then it makes you, just like clear brain. Like, I don't know. I should be hungry right now, but I'm actually not. So that's the part of detox that I wanted to include on there. I guess when you detox also helps you change the quality of your life. Like, so do you want to touch a little bit on that? How did that impact your quality of life that you had, maybe, or anything like that? So
detoxing, it helped a lot. Like it helped my mind. I was able to think more clear. Also, hey, look, weight loss, it gives you, the skin is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
once you detox and everything.
Yeah.
Like for example, like dandelion root, or you can use dandelion tea. Now, warning, drink a lot of water if you decide to do this, but one of the things that it detoxes is your liver. So, those who drink a lot of alcohol or whatever, drink some dandelion tea. Eat some dandelion root or whatever. Do drink a lot of water because it's detoxing you. One thing I will tell you is it's going to like cause some pain. Your body's going to react and feel it. Actually, when detoxing is not going to always feel good. You might get a really bad headache. You might throw up. but that's the part of detoxing.
You gotta go through it.
It cleared my mind. I was way more like productive. I wasn't procrastinating as much. I actually like, the process was ugly because it was like so painful.
Yeah.
But the beauty, like when I came out of that phase after my body was used to it and I was just cleansed, I just was much more positive, just felt more free.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I want to touch a little bit on this. We have it on here on, people don't have that much access to like good food, if you want to call it like that. So it's like a lot of places have food deserts, as it's called. For the people who are watching who do not know what food desert is, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So food deserts are when whole foods are scarce in a neighborhood or area, and those are typically found in inner cities. So you won't find grocery stores for miles and miles, and sometimes these people don't even have their own cars, so they're relying on public transportation. So the inner city of like Chicago, New York, or whatever. New York, you have bodegas. Chicago, we have what we call corner stores. But there's no fresh food. You have Italian beef places on every street, fried chicken joints on every street, rib shacks on every street, jumbo fried shrimp places everywhere, Chinese joints, tons of MSG in that. Those are what food deserts are. So you won't find like where you go to the suburbs where you see like a Whole Foods, a Cub Foods, Aldi, not even an Aldi. You just don't find them in those areas. I mean, even growing up back when we were in the hood, that's where we would be sent to the store. We would either be getting fast food down the street or some junk food. And that was also part of the reason why my mom wanted to move us out of the inner city, actually, was because of the food as well.
Okay. So what is the, I guess, what can we do to help out with that situation, besides obviously moving? What can we do by ourselves, instead of giving the power all the way out to like, damn, we don't got no, we ain't got no food or nothing like that. What can we do?
Okay, so I think like urban farming, like instead of having like lawns, let's grow food on those lawns. Or you live in a building, okay, you and all your folk in that building get together and y'all start a garden on top of that building. Like it's just idle space. So I think that by teaching people how to garden, or people learning how to make their own natural compost or whatever, fertilize things so that the food can grow, educating themselves on growing food instead of like a lawn. What do you need a lawn for? Okay, yeah, it looks pretty, but let's grow food on that. You go to the suburbs, everybody and their grandma has some sort of garden, whether it's just for fun. You're going to see some apple
tomatoes,
trees, strawberry patch, those things like that. And actually, I had the luxury in my family on my dad's side who lived in the suburbs. My grandmother and I grew up with them growing tomato and having bell pepper plants and things like that. So I think that bringing that into the day-to-day life is just like, okay, well, you learn how to use your phone, technology. Okay, well, why not learn how to grow food? I think that's a part of it. If you know that these areas are seen as low, okay, you want better food, you have to learn better to do better. Grow your own food. So I'm thinking of like, I know for me, my plan, I would like to go throughout schools in like the inner cities and educate people, the children especially, like, because they're the future. And adults are set in their ways for a lot of times. But, the children, hey, they're the next ones to come. I want to teach them how to, grow their food, or even, start doing videos or hosting classes and things like that, and getting other people my age inspired to go teach these people, or even if adults are willing to learn, teach them too how to grow their own food.
I used to be a farmer, so I know how to grow my own food. I used to do it by hand. It was mainly corn that I was doing, so I think it was only corn that I was doing. So that's interesting. Actually, I had a dream that this kind of applies to what we're going on now. What we're talking about is. So I had this dream where I used to go shopping at Walmart and Target and things like that for groceries, right? And then one day I went and there was like no food. The Walmart and the Target shut down. So I was just like, what am I gonna do? And from my understanding is I always try to, what does my dream mean? What the heck does that mean? I think, and for my own interpretation, I thought it was just saying like, if you depend on one thing only, and that gets down, mainly screwed, right? Like
Yeah.
you're done for.
That's so true.
Like, so if Walmart and anywhere you go shopping shuts down right now, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
There's gonna be a big fight, shootings, and things like that. So
Gotta learn
it's
to
very
be
important.
self-sustainable.
Yep, that's 100% true.
Hey,
So
like what if well, I know we're in America, a famine happens too. Like you want to just know certain things, like okay, in certain climates, well, what can I do to grow food? How even down to pickling that could save your life. Whether you're pickling vegetables or eggs, that's a form of protein.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just good to know how to be self-sustainable with food.
Yeah.
And that's something that most of us don't know how to do. Like, okay, there's a famine. Okay, well, how can I hunt? You know, just learning every aspect of it, not just growing the food, canning it, pickling it, to preserving it, drying it, you know, drying out meats and things like that to preserve it. Hunting, you know, let me tell you something. Growing up in the burbs, it helped, like having, you know, a certain group of friends. They knew how to hunt. Okay, they were showing me venison and everything like that. Or like, oh, how their grandpa made beef jerky. Just preserving things. Like I had an it's kind of crazy. I would say to people that my journey and all the things that I've learned really helped me so much in the food area. Like from my experiences, like nothing was a mistake. Like I went from learning this. Okay, well my mom, okay, the friends teaching me things, you know, from their family and what they knew that this little black girl from the north side of Chicago wouldn't have known, you know, otherwise. So it was like an advantage for me, the way my life went and learning all of these things. But I now want to teach people these things that I've learned to better them, especially, you know, like people in the black community. African American, we're all the same. Yeah,
you can learn a lot from every individual. They always got some things. So this one, to kind of wrap this up a little bit, you know, from your aspect, you know, what someone that's transitioning to a new diet or anything like that, you know, one, what would you tell them, and then two, what are your top 5? I would say maybe like food, whether it's food that is someone should be consuming, you know, with the most nutrients, like, you know, sea moss isn't everyone's thing, but like what would you say for somebody?
Okay, so I would say B12, need that. I would also say spirulina, high source of iron. If your iron is up to par, it's almost impossible to get sick in the way of like a cold. Because I'll tell you too, also teas, herbal teas, because it's going to detox you. It's going to get rid of so much mucus and stuff. The root to every disease is mucus. I would say, so that's 3. I would also say vitamin D. Vitamin D for mental health too, because a lack of vitamin D causes a lot of depression.
Go outside, people. I said go outside, people.
Go outside. And then I would say after that, B17 is good for so apricots and things like that, the seeds and stuff.
I was gonna say, where do people find these? You know, B17 and B12.
You can get supplements. But in the foods, like mushrooms have a lot of B12, apricot seeds and things like that has B17, which is good for cancer. And I think that those would be my top 5.
Your top 5, okay, that's what's up. So that's that for that side of the thing, health and wellness side. You know, some foods and nutrition, things like that. Now we're gonna turn it over to her entrepreneur spirit. You know, if you guys don't know, Jameelah is a chef in the kitchen. She'd be going crazy. So tell us a little bit about your journey through that. You know, how did you even get into cooking? Besides, obviously, probably like through everything that you've been saying. But how'd that start?
Let me tell you.
And when?
Number one, I was not always passionate about cooking. I hated it, actually. Damn. Yeah, it's not what I wanted to do. I just did it because I knew how. I don't know. I went in the kitchen one day and I cooked a full course meal.
What'd you cook? What was it? Do you remember?
I'll tell you. I cooked a steak dinner.
Yeah.
I baked the cake, everything from scratch.
Damn.
Full salad, all that good stuff. Something, it was slight work, basic. But, okay, so growing up, the women in my family, both sides cooked or whatever. But my grandmother, aka my grandmommy, on my dad's side, love her dearly, that woman. I think that's where I really developed the interest from cooking. I can't say I was passionate about it, but it was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I get to be with my grandmother. But there are pictures of me sitting at her feet as a toddler, just watching her, sitting on the kitchen table, watching her. Her and my aunt got me I had a step stool at my aunt's house, a step stool at her house to help out in the kitchen. They would let me, do little activities like, oh, you want to put the egg in a cake mix? Say, okay.
Yeah.
Also, she didn't want me in her way too much, so I just used to like peek and observe.
Yeah.
But just all the family events that she cooked for growing up, and I'm so family oriented. That's really what like attracted me to it, because I'm like, oh wow, all of these great foods. Like, people love my grandmother's chicken salad. They love her hummingbird cake, or they love her rum cake, and all these amazing things she like cooked. And I just grew up with it. My mom knew how to throw down in the kitchen. She knew how to cook as well. And so just growing up around food and family, that's really just what sparked my interest and how I got into it.
Okay, awesome. So how long have you, like for your side business that you do now, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, how long have you been doing that so far? And what kind of events do you do?
Yeah, So first off, I'm open to like pretty much any event. But I do a lot of like gatherings and stuff. Like, I did the Juneteenth event like the year before last. I do birthday parties. I just host private chef like dinners and things like that. Clients are going to book me for a special occasion for that. So I'm just open to anything, whether it's catering or doing private chef work. And I've been doing this since I was in high school, actually.
Wow.
I did take a break from it for a while. Like I said, I wasn't always passionate. I pursued other things. And, the person who encouraged me to come back really into this was my mom. And people would tell me, Jameelah, you're so good at this. You got to do something with it, you know? And I'm like, it was nothing to me. I'm like, cooking. I mean, how does that help people? I'm like, that's because, I always thought of helping people as something like bigger. Like, I don't know what I was looking for, but to me, it was not cooking. I said, this is something everybody knows how to do. Now I know that that's actually not true now.
That's not true.
I didn't appreciate the gift or this talent that I had. But yeah, I've been doing it since high school. I've catered for a fire department. Just you name it, I've pretty much done it. Yeah.
Not everyone can cook. I'll tell you that. I know some guy that lives where we live. I'm not gonna call you out, but he couldn't make eggs.
Wow.
You are sick.
Wow.
Okay. So that's disgusting. So some of your other clientele, like, do you have any interesting stories? How many? Like, give me a story, man. Talk to me. What's up?
I once had a client. Farther out, of course, huge house. We're talking suburbs. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not gonna name the city.
Why is that? I'm just somewhere over there. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I was, finishing up cleaning, and then I was doing the dishes, and this client wanted me to not only like clean them, but load them in the dishwasher as well, to dry, because it was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and they had 3 dogs, I believe, big dogs too. And I just was hearing something like a drop, and I'm like, I'm going about just washing dishes, and something says, look to your right. I look down as I'm about to load in some more silverware, and the dog is licking on the dishes, the silverware, and the owner's right there, sees it like it's nothing, and these are dishes that were already washed, so they were just going to use them. And I could not believe it. But, seeing things like that and having to not react, you can't be like, oh, that's nasty.
No, I'm saying something.
As black folk, like to react, oh, that's nasty, And I'm like, wow, like just being in this workspace or whatever, just being a personal chef. There are so many stories I have that, it teaches me even how to build my character, like not judging them. Like, okay, you know what? This is fine to them. To us, that's gross. But hey, that's them. They might find something we do gross.
That's crazy.
And so
I would have grabbed it. I would have been, look, I'm putting this back in the dishwasher, man. Hold up.
I also have an amazing story one time, and I call this story actually what I say is a God wink. I had this client who had booked me for his wife. He wanted to surprise her with a private chef because she was giving birth to their second child, their first daughter. And so that day, it wasn't just not going to work for me. I was like, I just had it in like my spirit. I was just like, I can't do this today. I had a lot going on, and I just needed to focus on those things. And so I prayed about it. I just had peace in my heart, and then I never cancel. Like I just don't. That's the thing I have. If I have to work myself to the bone, I will. And I told him, he handled it really well. He's like, oh, okay, that's fine or whatever, we'll reschedule. So about 2 weeks later, this is before we rescheduled, he texts me and he's like, hey, chef, I know we were supposed to do it on this day, blah, 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 and this time. Yeah. He's like, my wife ended up going into labor. And so I was like, oh, my goodness.
During the time you were supposed to do it?
During the time I was supposed to do it.
Oh, snap.
I said, oh, my God. I said, look at God. He came all the way through. Yeah. And so, things like that, it's just beautiful, even being a part of those moments, those intimate moments that people allow you to be a part of. And as I'm there, I'm not just cooking and just focused or whatever. I've learned to engage with the family, engage with the friends or people that are there, because they want to get to know me and, just talk to me and everything. And a lot of times they're from a whole different background than I am. So it's interesting for them to hear my experience. They don't see people like me every day. And so just me being open and not also like little ignorant things I've dealt with. By the time we're done, when someone was like, I knew that they were a certain way, basically they didn't like, my kind. By the end of that, we would be laughing, talking, just having a good time. And they got to know me. And I feel like food just connects
people. Absolutely.
It's so amazing.
That's how you connect with me.
Yeah. Food.
Give me some food.
And exactly. It's something we all need, right, to live. It's a comforting thing. It can it should be delicious, I think. And nutritious. Come on, if you're eating a good food, you're going to be in good spirits and good health.
Talk about engagement. Now, how could people reach out to you, let's say like, yo, Jameelah, I got a date, you know what I'm saying? I got something going on, or, some anniversary, something special going on. How do people reach out to you? What's your social media?
I was actually word of mouth for a while. Like people just told me, Jameelah, you need to get on social media. You need to do this. You need a website, yada, yada, woo. Working on a website now. I am on a chef pool site called Take a Chef, so you could look me up on there at Jameelah Nance. But
I am Take a Chef. Would you say Take a Chef?
Take a Chef.
Okay.
But I prefer you to just book straight through me, and you could do that at Jameelah Gourmet. That's my Instagram. My Facebook is just Jameelah Nance. You can message me on there, but just DM me on Instagram at Jameelah Gourmet.
We're gonna have this on the bottom. So guys, if you want to surprise your lady, you can say you can have her come a little earlier. She'll cook it and she'll leave.
Yes,
you can say you cooked it. It'll look
exactly. If you don't want me there, I do that too. It's just like catering in a way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to actually book you coming up next week because we had Taco Tuesday last time. Just come, hook us up, man. So I appreciate you being here today. I think that's around like the 40-minute mark that we always go. So thank you for the information you provided.
Yeah,
just any last thing that you want to say before we head out here? Anything?
I will say this. Hey, I'm going to talk about water. I'm a huge water advocate. Drink spring water. Purified water I wouldn't say is the best for you, but spring water has natural electrolytes and everything in it. And so my favorite brand is Evian. And Dr. Sebi taught me about spring water, and you actually digest a lot better and everything with the purified water. Like I said, it's a lot of chemicals in it. If you have any more questions with health and everything, you can also reach out to me and ask about that. I've helped people come down whole shoe sizes and stuff who have too much water retention. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, water
and everything like that, or just even helping people who've had heart conditions or whatever, build their heart stronger, who had a weak heart, and actually have reports of it. But after, working with me, the reports, it's been a huge turnaround. So if you have any nutrition questions, you can reach out and ask me as well.
Yeah, we'll have all of her information.
And I do consultations as well, 30 minutes, an hour. Tell me your health concerns and everything. Just reach out and I'll help you through that. Yeah, I'm going to need your help. So I appreciate you guys tuning in today. This is Audition Podcast, episode 5. And like we always say, like this so I look cool. And I'll see you guys later.